Hey, this is Braden with Pickleball Effect. Today we're going to talk about a paddle metric called Twistweight that people don't often consider when they're doing research of a paddle, but I think they should. So this is a measurement that I've been getting for a bunch of paddles, and I've been documenting and putting into a new paddle database I've been creating. So I'm going to introduce what Twistweight is, how I calculate it, and then I'm going to show you this new paddle database so that you can look up the twist weights of a bunch of different paddles out there. Talking about what Twistweight is, it's a measurement of how stable a paddle is, which is an indication of how big the sweet spot is. So when you hit a ball on the side of the paddle, it's going to twist a little bit. If a paddle has a high twist weight, then it's not going to twist as much. It's going to be more stable, and you're going to get a little more power on those off-center shots, which means it has a bigger sweet spot. If a paddle has a smaller twist weight number, it means it twists easier in your hands on those off-center shots. It means you're going to get less return on power, and it is an indication that it has a smaller sweet spot in general. So when I calculate the twist weight measurement of a paddle, I use this machine I have. It's called the Graffiti SW1. You can look it up online if you want to pick one up yourself. They're pretty cool. You can buy this separate twist weight adapter. So when you hook up a paddle like this, then you connect it to your phone, you fling it, it oscillates, and then it gives you a twist weight number. So I've done this for a ton of different paddles, and that's how I'm calculating this number. So that's what twist weight is. I pulled out the 2X in particular because out of all the paddles I've measured so far, this one has the highest twist weight. And when you play with it, you can tell this thing is a wall. It's super forgiving. It probably is the most forgiving paddle I've played to date. And the twist weight number shows that. So let's take a look at my paddle database, and I'll kind of show you how to read these numbers. So here's my paddle database. I just published it on my site. I've been measuring these numbers for a while, but have been waiting till my database grew before I shared it and made it available for everyone. But it's live now. You can click on the link in the description if you want to go check it out. It works best on desktop. It's a little funky on mobile right now, so if you do want to check it out, do it on a desktop. It's a much better experience. But I have some definitions here of different measurements I take. I get all these measurements myself using some different machines I have and whatnot. But I included a bunch of different filters here that you can use to narrow down your search. I have things like brand, shape, paddle type, price, handle length, just a bunch of stuff that you can use to take my list. I think I have about 50 or so paddles in here right now, and if you know what you're looking for, this will narrow it down really quick for you, and you can compare paddles side by side. But for this video, we're just going to pay attention to twist weight. So here's the twist weight column over here. Twist weight ranges between numbers 5 and 8. And the average twist weight is 6.4. So if you're playing with a paddle with a twist weight around 6.5, that's a good size sweet spot, though it's not oversized. I found that anything below 6 is a paddle that has a tighter sweet spot. So some examples of paddles with a twist weight below 6 are the Selkirk, Power Air Invicta, and Gearbox paddles. This is no surprise. These paddles are known for having a tighter sweet spot, and the data backs that up. Anything above 7 is really good. That's an oversized sweet spot. The highest measurement I've had so far is the Carbon 2X at 7.75. There's a few others above 7, but there's not a ton. Anything like in the high 6s is still a good measurement. But it's fun to see these numbers. They do give you a great idea of how forgiving a paddle is. Some trends I've noticed are thicker paddles and standard shape paddles tend to have higher twist weight measurements, which makes sense, right? Like if you ever played a shorter, wider standard body paddle, it feels more forgiving than an elongated shape. And if you have two paddles that are the exact same, but one's 16 millimeters and one's 14, the 16 millimeter is going to be more forgiving, and the data shows that. A lot of the 14 millimeter paddles have lower twist weights. But there are some outliers in here. So I recently did a review of the Yola Perseus 16. That one had a lower twist weight compared to other elongated shapes. And you can tell when you play with it, it's a little tighter sweet spot compared to some other elongated paddles. It's not like a bad sweet spot, but it is a little smaller, and the data shows that. So this is just another metric to consider when you're doing your paddle research. And it is super helpful to get an idea of how forgiving a paddle is, just because there's really no other way to determine that without playing it or looking at reviews. So it's nice to have this metric that gives us that idea of the size of the sweet spot. Some other things I'll point out on this table. I do have links to each paddle here and my discount code. Please click on those links and use my discount code if you decide there's a paddle on here that you want to get. It helps support the channel so I can keep doing videos like this. But that's everything I have for you. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching.